Day to day, what does your job involve? I mean, is it people would send an email or a letter to you saying, I got a problem, or do you have, is it more proactive that you're constantly on the move on these cases?
I'd say a little of both. Actually, my personal role that I play is I bring the passion of a veteran to our conference table. So I spend all of my time, as much as I can possibly get away from the office, meeting with veterans so I don't lose that perspective on life. And then we do have our phone lines. Like my primary effort is in communicating to ensure that we are listening to the veterans, that we're au fait with what their frustrations are. And then we have a team that is trying to address those things on a day-to-day basis.
I know in the States there have been various, I don't know if I can call them scandals, but in the last couple of years, you know, turning out the veterans hospitals were a mess, or traumatic brain injury, people being told, you know, we don't really have the facility to rehabilitate you. How do you think we compare?
Well, you know, for 90% of the, and I'm taking a stab at this, 80% of the clients of Veteran Affairs, the veterans are satisfied with the programs. And you know, we do have some world-class programs. Historically, Canadians have been very good about the way they've treated veterans, but there are a lot of complexities with the system. And you know, the administration, the insurance company attitude of Veteran Affairs Canada is just terrible, and they recognize it themselves. Well, it's a deny culture. It's a turn people down culture, and there are veterans who have fought for 10 years for what they believe is their right, only to be successful and then have 3 years of retroactivity applied to it. There are so many cases of how the administration has disadvantaged our veterans, and to me that's deplorable. And not only that, but a lot of employees of Veteran Affairs Canada come to us to describe how terrible the situation is. To their credit, when we attack their system, and we try to do it in a constructive fashion, the system is trying to correct itself. So that's why I'm a firm believer in the role and the mandate that I have, you know, being that voice. And it's very important that I view myself as a neutral voice, but on the side of the veterans. So I try not to sensationalize things, but at the same time, I'm trying to convey to Canadians and decision makers that this is a human problem, and there are people suffering, and I take that personally. Yeah.
So I guess necessarily you're pretty passionate about your work.
Well, I took the job because it was a chance for me to give back, you know. I was told after I came back from Afghanistan that I wouldn't be commanding again, and I was pretty bummed out over that. And to me, that was kind of the end of life as I knew it, because I only stayed in the military to be with soldiers and to do operational things. So I became a green collar worker. I didn't go out into the workforce because I felt that after the great career I had, an obligation as a senior officer to give back. So when this job came open, it was, for me, very therapeutic as an operational stress injury sufferer. Very therapeutic to be able to take on something like this where I can fight for the troops. Now, a lot of people are critical of the position because I don't have the power of binding authorities and to compel testimony and things like that. Well, that's not what an ombudsman does. An ombudsman is a voice of the citizens. You have to be objective in everything you say to have credibility, but at the same time, we're there to keep the system in check. And I think we're progressing well in terms of developing our ability to be a catalyst for change within Veteran Affairs.
Listen, great to meet you, and I'm excited that we've been able to throw a spotlight on this, you know, for the listeners, because they talk so much about Afghanistan and our soldiers, and that's part of our recurring conversation, but we haven't talked a lot about veterans, so I really appreciate this.
Right on. No, I appreciate your interest.